All right, today we are going all the way back to basics with a very beginner instructional video because I think there's a lot of people new to Path of Exile, and then there are also people that have been playing PoE for a while and have a bit of a victim complex. And that's just an attitude that I don't really like. And I think particularly because Path of Exile is a knowledge-based game, you know, it does take a lot of time to play the game and do a lot of stuff, but you can be more efficient with your time, and without playing that much, you can make decent currency. Anyway, I want to show you guys how many players make their first 100 chaos or so, and it's actually how my group play got their first 100 divines from Friday to Sunday. And that is the chaos recipe. I have not talked about the chaos recipe in a video yet. What is the chaos recipe? So the chaos recipe is a vendor recipe where you take a full set of rare gear from item level 60 up to 74, and you get back some chaos. If they are unidentified or all 20% quality, you will get 2 chaos. That's basically what we're aiming for. So let me show you really quickly how this works. Actually, I'm gonna have to run a map here really quick just to get the recipe set up. I'll BRB in just 1 second. All right, we're back. I just ran a quick 1 minute and 7 second map. I picked up 1 full chaos recipe, and you can see what I have right here. By taking a full set of unidentified rare gear, you need the full set, 2 rings, belt, everything. You can use a 2-handed weapon or 2 one-handed weapons, whatever something is equivalent, and then you can sell it for 2 chaos orbs. That is basically what we're gonna be aiming for. As you can see, I have a faster build, I have a bow build, but I did it in 1 minute by running a tier 5 or 6 map. I do recommend tier 6, I'll talk about why in a second. Took me 1 minute and 7 seconds to run this map. Let's say I go a little bit slower. Let's say I have 2 to 2 minute and 30 second maps. That is still very good chaos per hour. Particularly on League Start 1, Exalts or Divines are much cheaper. I still used to saying Exalts. And let's check PoE Ninja really quickly to see what the price of Divines are at the very beginning of the league. So we can see on day 1, Divines were about 50 to 70 chaos. What you can do, and this is what we did, is on the very first day, you want to get to maps ASAP. If you're a little bit slower, that's okay, but ideally you get to maps by Saturday or so. And when Divines are still fewer than 100 chaos or less than 100 chaos, then you can buy Divines and then they will appreciate very quickly. This has been very standardized and deterministic over the past year, 2 years now, where Divines will reach about 125 to 150 chaos within a week or so of League Start. What we did is we ran the chaos recipe really hard Friday night all the way through Saturday. I ran the chaos recipe all Saturday. Granted, it's not the most fun thing in the world, but people talk about currency. They have this push and pull of, I want to just play the game and not think, but then they also want to make money. And the thing is, if you're comparing yourself to someone who thinks and puts in additional work, then there's going to be a little bit of tension there. You just can't expect to have the currency without putting in the work. And sometimes it does come down to doing something that you don't find the most fun thing in the game. But kind of the cool thing here is because of this chaos recipe, there's always this fundamental baseline of how much money you can make per hour. The baseline here, as you can see, so 2 chaos for, let's slow this down to about 2 minutes per map, 2 chaos, 2 minutes. That comes out to be about 60 chaos per hour. That's baseline, not counting a single other thing that drops. Just 1 chaos recipe per map right here is actually below average. If you have it juiced with Rogue Exiles, which I'll show you in a second, then you can get at least 2 or 3 chaos recipes per map. And then we're getting much closer to 100 to 150 chaos per hour if you're efficient about it. The big thing that I'll recommend, I'm not going to teach you exactly how to use this. I'll link it below. You can just go to YouTube and type in Chaos Recipe Enhancer Path of Exile tutorial. There's a lot of really good guides. I think Baylor Mage has one. Von Victon did one like a year ago or 2 years ago. There's so many out there. This is the tool that people use for efficient chaos recipe. And yeah, welcome to Path of Exile. You just gotta suck it up and use third-party tools. But yeah, what this tool does is it'll give you an overlay. It'll actually do this grid it'll tell you exactly where the things are that you have to pick up. It'll have this overlay when you are running your maps. It tells you exactly the count of each item that you have. It pulls from your public stash tab, so it knows what you have in your stash and it knows how much you have of each. So it says, hey, you got 10 body armors, but you only have 2 rings. So, collect some more rings. And the colors right here are actually the colors that it will show on the loot filter. This will also create a loot filter for you that colors them so you just know exactly what to pick up. Like, okay, I'm picking up jewelry, that's red thing. I need to pick up weapons, that's, teal or whatever. You can customize those colors however you want. It's a great tool. I highly recommend it. Like I said, you don't need it. It's not necessary. But the loot filter alone, I think, is really important. And I think that's the most important part. I just want to really get across the baseline idea here is running the chaos recipe, you should expect to make, depending on how efficient you are, even with a slower build, between 50 and 100. I think 150 chaos an hour is high, but you can do it if you're really efficient. I think 50 to 100 chaos per hour, even a relatively casual player that is at least running maps and not just sitting in their hideout, should be expected to do that. So that's the fundamental. That is really the theory right there. Let me show you, in addition, what I recommend. Okay, so a lot of this is going to depend on the strength of your build. I'm going to recommend how you're going to be able to tailor this, but we'll go over the basic theory here. And that is Rogue Exiles. So if you didn't know, Rogue Exiles, Anarchy. So Rogue Exiles are other exiles. They have a lot of the similar traits that, the characters that we play have. And the cool thing about them is they always drop a lot of gear. That is their main loot pool. And by having as many Rogue Exiles on your map as possible, you're just going to get more gear. In addition to that, I do recommend getting a little rarity on your gear, actually, if you can. That will boost up some of the stuff that they drop to be more likely rare. Your early gear, if you do see rarity on it, it is worth to actually just equip that. And then you're going to be more likely to get rares from the drops on the Rogue Exiles. So the idea here is we just take all of the Rogue Exile nodes, basically. So we want to go into Rogue Trader here. So we have more Rogue Exiles, more rewards. Rogue Trader itself, you don't need to take this node. The additional rewards don't directly correlate to rares. Sometimes they can be rares. But the most important thing is all of this for the additional 100% chance for additional Rogue Exile. This guarantees that you get at least one Rogue Exile per map. Next up, you want to basically make a beeline to Ruckus right here for an 8% chance to contain 20 additional Rogue Exiles. So when this does proc, you are guaranteed to have at least an additional 20 Rogue Exiles, 21 actually including this. And with my experimentation this league, I had Ruckus proc a lot, much more than 8%. And I think that has something to do with the increased effect of explicit modifiers on my map. So that's why I am taking it on these on this Atlas tree right here. So that's, it's just a theory. I don't know 100%, but the main idea was we take Ruckus, we want additional Rogue Exiles. We also take Exiled Will, so they are possessed by tormented spirits. Don't take this if your build is still weaker, but once your build gets a little bit stronger. Also, again, we are only recommending running tier 6 maps. So once your build gets stronger, you just stay in those low yellow maps and it should be pretty comfortable. In addition, we have Seance, we have more tormented spirits. And then we go into effect of map modifiers and then more tormented spirits right here, just for more drops. It's just nice to have. This is entirely optional right here. You do not have to take this, but that's the basic idea is we want to have as many Rogue Exiles as possible. Also, we do take Royal Guard right here. We have additional Rogue Exiles on the maps. And then we also have some, additional currency item. Doesn't really matter. That is the foundation of the build. If you do get very basic Anarchy Scarabs 2 early league, you can do this. They do tend to be relatively cheap. They're 1 chaos right now. But again, I don't really recommend that. You get 4 Rogue Exiles, you get 1 chaos, more chaos recipe, I guess. If you get them, I would recommend using them, but I wouldn't go out of my way to buy them. Now you'll notice that there's some more stuff on the tree, and that is Essence. So the cool thing is Essences at tier 6 maps, that's specifically why we say tier 6, is you can get the highest tier of Essences in tier 6 maps. Don't take Essences very early. Your build is probably still a little bit weaker. Essences are hard, but even as your build scales into being able to do early red maps, we're staying in tier 6 maps. You really want to stay in tier 6 maps for the full first day or so of your playing. Again, I'm just recommending how you can make currency. This is also not the best way to make currency in the game, but it is a fundamental, foundational, reliable way that you can do it. I just really want to get across the idea that there's no reason not to have at least a few designs after your first play session after you get to maps, because the chaos recipe specifically is built into the game. And essences are a nice little thing that you can add in there. The one thing that I recommend skipping here is Crystal Resonance. It makes the map boss really hard, and it can brick some of the essences that you're doing. It's like on average, you just get the expected value after you use the Remnant of Corruption. I don't find it particularly good. It can be okay because you do get the essences from the map boss, but it makes the map boss very hard. If you had a giga build, then fine, but this is entirely optional. Other than that, I do just recommend basically taking all of these nodes. Crystal Lattice, you can drop this one node by itself because it also can be kind of hard when your build is early on. But besides that, just getting some essences on your map, taking all the Rogue Exiles, and then taking some Tormented Spirit stuff. Again, Tormented Spirit also is optional early. It does make them harder, but once your build is scaling into potential for red maps, you start upgrading your build when you're still in yellow maps, then you can just keep going with that. And then the one last little thing here is we do go through the Nico nodes and we grab Packed with Energy as well as Meticulous Appraiser. Meticulous Appraiser is just really nice. That base quantity of items that shows up on your map device will get 3x that value instead to the rarity. This will just go a very long way to making sure that the Rogue Exiles are dropping more rare items than white and blue items. This alone really makes up for needing any rarity on your gear, but if you do get some rarity on your gear, it is just nice to have a little bit in addition. So that's what we're doing right there. And yeah, that is the theory behind this Atlas tree. It is not perfectly tuned or anything. Take a screenshot and follow it if you want to. I'm sure there's some pathing that's not perfect. I kind of threw it together really quickly right here, but that is the idea. Some of the astute of you may have noticed that I recommend running tier 6 maps because of the essences, but tier 6 maps can drop eye level 75 items, which doesn't fit within this band. The nice thing about the chaos recipe is if you have one item level 74 item and the rest are 75, it will downgrade to actually still counting for the chaos recipe. So you can actually run higher tier maps and pick up all the rares, and then you can just slap in a single eye level 60 thing from like Blood Aqueducts, and that will actually downgrade it to the chaos recipe. Actually, I think the recipe that I just did was including a eye level 75 item. Also, as you can see, I have 25 points remaining right now. This is an Atlas tree of 121 points. The things I recommend taking last are essences and the ghost stuff. So the very basic tree is just go for all of the Rogue Exile stuff first. Then later on, get the ghost stuff, and then probably essences last as your build starts to get a little bit stronger. Like I said, we made, I want to say the first night, we probably made about 10 divines. We got through the campaign in about 5 hours. So obviously, time means everything. Practice the campaign. There's all of this stuff that kind of compounds into it. But as you practice, as you get better, as you get faster, as you get ahead of the market, you can start buying those divines with the chaos recipe early before the divines price goes up. That's really what I recommend. And you can say, hey, I don't have time to practice or whatever. But, you know, at the end of the league, when you're bored, you know, a lazy Saturday afternoon, just run Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and try to get your campaign time a little bit faster. At the very least, try to get to maps by the end of Friday, maybe early Saturday. You know, if you have to work or whatever, I get it. This is just one strategy. There are many other things that you can do. If you are dirt poor and you know nothing else and you have just a relatively weak character, but you can run, you know, even white maps. So even if you can't do essences, even if you can't do ghosts, you can run tier 1, tier 2 maps. It's all fine. You can just do Blood Aqueducts. The problem with Blood Aqueducts is you're not going to get as much jewelry. There's no Rogue Exiles. But if you can do Rogue Exiles in a tier 1 map, you're good enough to make 100 chaos per hour. I promise. Just do it. Get the chaos recipe enhancer. 100 chaos per hour. That is the baseline in the game. It is built into the game. Nothing special has to drop. Very reliable, dependable things drop. You can make that currency. And that's at least you play for a week and you're going to have 5 divines, you know, even if you're playing relatively casually. And with those 5 divines, you can start upgrading your build and, you know, and move on. And it's there. It is in the game. You can do it. I believe in you. And yeah, don't be that guy that says, I've been playing for a week and have 30 chaos. You don't have to be that guy. All right. Thanks for watching. Hope you have plenty of currency in the future and have a good one.